All right, what's all you health and wellness superstars? It's Adam and Elliot coming at you live. And what we want to do over the next couple of weeks is we got something really special, and this is what we're calling a crash course in constraints. Because when it comes to the health and wellness industry, we're seeing three things that are really affecting health and wellness companies out there, especially in the realm of integrative and functional practitioners. So if you're interested in integrative marketing, if you're interested in functional business growth, you're going to want to pay attention to this and dial in to the 4 episodes we have. Now, today we're really focusing in on business structure because if you don't have your structure in place, nothing else that we talk about is going to work very well. And this is one of the things we see people just kind of bypass over and over again. They look at other people's structures, they look at the typical health and wellness industry, the way it's been run, they just adapt that kind of structure. They think it's going to work because that's what everybody else is doing. And next thing you know, their health company is not as healthy as it could be. So when we're looking at the constraints, Elia, we're looking at kind of three of them. And the first one is going to be, well, impact. And this constraint happens when one of two things is really happening. One, either you're not out there serving enough people and your talents are just being wasted because not enough people are coming in and working with you, and or the people that are coming in and working with you are not having transformations with their health in a fast enough time. And sometimes this can show up in the form of uncompliant patients and clients and things like that. Elia, what are you seeing this constraint of impact really affecting companies?
Well, I think, so many people look to these different areas of their business, like it's, the marketing or it's my messaging or whatever it might be, and really not realizing that with a business owner and when you're practicing in health, it's like your time is so valuable, and the impact that you're trying to make on people. I know so many people that are like, I wish I could help more people, or I wish I had more time to spend with my people, or I wish that I knew how to like multiply myself because I just don't have enough hours in the day. And so impact can really be negatively impacted when we don't have a solid structure.
And what's interesting is you just said time, which leads us into our second constraint. And this is really affecting the health and wellness industry because we're seeing so many people out there that run their own company, they're health entrepreneurs, they have their own practice, or they're basically a business leader of a unit for another company, but they're responsible for the growth and the profitability and things like that. And this comes down to time. And that is simply not having enough to focus on the growth of the business because a couple of things are happening. Either one, you're so busy working with clients and patients, you don't have time to do what needs to be done to get to the company to a healthier place.
Yeah.
Or the third constraint that comes in, which we'll talk about in a second, the cash flow isn't coming in enough. So you have to focus elsewhere to bring in the cash flow to make up for the cash flow that is not happening or the profit that's not happening with the business that you do want to be running. Elia, does that make sense from a time perspective?
Yeah, I think so. And it's like what every business owner faces. It's like, how do I split up my times to where it's like I'm working in my business, but I'm also working on my business. And a lot of us get stuck in just working in the business and doing the tangibles and having like it's like we own a job, not a business, and then we don't, give the business the support it needs as far as the back end structure and things like that. So yes, where to split your time is usually a big struggle for most people.
And I like how you just said you own a job because when you look at it, you got kind of like 4 areas of having a career. You have a job, which means you work for somebody else, or you
Mhm.
have a business, but the business is working you and you're not working it. So you own a job. And it's like, if
Yeah.
you're going to own a job, why not just go have a job? Because
Yeah.
trust me, it's a lot less stressful.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have a business, and then you have systems, and then you have profit. And so it's really how you want to get there. And that leads us into our third constraint, cash flow, which is really affecting the wellness industry. And that is, this shows up in one of two areas. Number one, there's either one, not enough cash flow coming in, which a lot of companies are facing,
Yeah.
and or there is cash flow coming in, but the profit margin isn't where it needs to be. You have a low profit margin. And I can tell you right now, if you're in the health and wellness space and you don't have a profit margin of at least 50% or more, there's a good chance it could probably improve. And so that's what we're going to dive into right now. This is part one, a crash course in constraints. I'm using too many C words today.
Yeah.
Crash course in constraints, part one, business structure. So Elliot, kick us off here. what's that first thing when it comes to business structure somebody's got to do in order for it to work? Because we see a lot of people who literally, like, they've got the program thing in place. They know what they're doing. They have their process down. Even their pricing isn't bad, but it's this first thing that we really see that can affect people.
Yeah, this is the fuel that people are putting into their business, right? This is actually, and we consider the business owner, that is the fuel for the business. And so when you aren't fueling yourself, or when you are constrained by all of these things like time and cash and all the things that it takes to run a business, then again, you're not giving the business the best, cleanest fuel that you have. So one thing that we talk a lot about is, what kind of fuel are you putting into your business? And it takes a lot of grit to have a business, to run a business, to start a business, to keep a business going, to grow a business. It takes a lot of guts to be in the health industry today. And we know that you have to move boldly if you really want to be able to practice on impacting this world and tipping the scales from sickness to wellness. It takes a lot of guts to get out there and do what you do. Because for a lot of people, they're up against some pretty big odds. And the other thing that you've got to develop is you've got to have resilience. You've got to be able to think differently about your business. You've got to be willing to take a look at some of those places where, again, you have a health business, but your business itself actually is probably suffering in its health on its own. And we want to have healthy health companies, because when we know that healthy health companies are healthy, then again, their ability to impact and tip the scales to sickness, from sickness to wellness, is much more powerful. So we want to take a look at that, along with, what's the intention in the business, really being able to get clients the fastest results and the strongest results in a short period of time, and the tenacity that a business owner has to really keep them charged up. Right? When you've got a business owner that's helping in the health and wellness space, but they're not feeling well, or they're feeling burnt out, it makes that whole process 100 times harder. And just really having that grit to be committed to the victory of your business, the health of your patients, but also your business itself. That's where we have to start.
And so I don't know if you guys picked up what Ellie was just laying down, but she just spelled out grit. So the guts, right? It takes courage to be in today's health and wellness space. It just does. Number two, resilience. A lot of people define resilience as the ability to get back up when you get knocked down. But the way that we define it is to not get knocked down in the first place from being a health entrepreneur. It's a very important business muscle you need to build. Number three, intention. It's got to be on the client first, not the cash flow, not your bank account. If it's not there, I mean, sure, you can have a business, you can have some cash flow, but you're not going to get out there and have the impact you want to have. And then tenacity, well, that's the perseverance to not quit, because the only ones that fail in this industry are the ones who quit. You put those together, GRIT, and that is grit. A lot of you people have heard that before, but the difference here is this is the first thing you have got to go into being a functional and integrative practitioner. If you're not, you're going to break in half. We've seen it happen over and over again.
Yeah.
Now, once we've got the fuel down, well, then we want to get into offer clarity. Now, a lot of people out there are really concerned about, what's that N word, Elea, that everybody's so worried about?
Niche. Yes.
Niche, the niche. And right now I want to use an acronym. It's not what you think it means, KISS. It's keep it simple, superhero. What is the amazing outcome you offer? Like, seriously, if you help someone overcome diabetes, you help someone overcome diabetes, you're done. Stop thinking about it. Move on to the next thing and get really clear on, because if you want to overcome the three constraints, right? Impact, time, and cash flow, you're going to have to get really detailed on, number one, who do you want to work with and who do you want to repel away?
Yeah.
This is where a lot of people make this mistake, Elea, because they start working with people that they really shouldn't be. Would you agree?
Yeah, they will do that. Or, again, getting into health and wellness, they want to fix everyone. And that makes their marketing language extremely broad and vague. And that also can really impact how you structure your business. It can also send people down a zillion different roads. It can spread them super thin, and it can be a big recipe for burnout for health practitioners.
And this is really important. I want to stack on this just a little bit more, because offer clarity. And Ellie is right about this. If you're out there and you're one of those people where I can help anybody, I'm a general practitioner, it's like, well, that's cool. And I love where you're at and you do want to help everybody, you got a big heart, But if you want to have more impact, the more that you narrow down on a specific amazing outcome or two that you really help people with, you'll be amazed at how much more simple your business becomes, especially the structure, because now you're focusing on one area. It doesn't mean that's what you have to do for the rest of your life, but it's just like getting really crystal clear on what is the big, amazing outcome you offer.
Yeah.
And that leads us into, once we have offer clarity, well, we also need to have income clarity too. And this
Mhm.
basically means, do you really know what your income goals are and why?
Yeah.
And I've talked to, I don't know, what was it, like 300 or 400 people last year, Elliot. And it's amazing when you say, okay, so what are your goals for the business?
Mhm.
And they're like, well, it'd be great if I could just cover my nut and I could just have 5 grand coming in.
Mhm.
Or they'll say, well, I don't know. All right. Or they'll just, or they'll just randomly pick something.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, coming from Fortune 50 companies, if you do it that way, um, it becomes really tough because you haven't really set a destination that we can hand you a GPS to get to.
Yeah, yeah. And this is something that's so important, again, to have a healthy health company. And when you have a healthy health company, which includes making sure that it's getting the income that it needs, you're able to be more effective because you're not worried about all of the parts and pieces on the back end with the income. And I think that this is a really important piece, even though it can be very triggering for people. I mean, money, that conversation is triggering enough already. But then when we bring in people that are really committed to helping people, it's almost like we have this like dichotomy of helping people means I can't be focused on the money, or vice versa. That turns me into a bad person. And I think this is a really important conversation that we are having time and time again with our practitioners and health and wellness experts, because just like you said, you got to have that roadmap. These are important pieces. It's just like knowing how much weight you want to lose or where you want your blood sugar to be, right? It's super important.
Well, it's tangible, specific, measurable outcomes, right? It's not
Mhm.
just for the people you're working with, but it's for your company too.
Yep.
And people, again, and I want to iterate, you need to know your income goal, but you also need to know the why. And this is where a lot of people, especially, I even saw this in Fortune 50 companies when I was working in the big space with corporations for quite some time, that they would make a mistake. They wouldn't really address the why part. And if any of you are old enough to remember Zig Ziglar, he's that dude. He was one of the original motivational guys. I think he came out of
Yeah.
like the 40s or 50s or something. Zig's not with us anymore, but he says something that Elea and I have adopted as our mantra at Move, Think, Smile. And that is, you help enough people get what they want, you can have whatever you want. Now, we stole that from Zig, but we've kind of put our own swing on it. And
Mhm.
it is, you help enough people transform their health for the long term by getting to the root cause of disease, dysfunction, and disorders instead of just managing and mitigating the symptoms like our traditional healthcare system does. Well, you do that, you're allowed to enjoy life a little bit too. I
Yeah.
mean, you agree with that, right, Elia?
Absolutely. I mean, part of, again, I think some of the unfortunate things that are plaguing our medical system are burnt out doctors and nurses and practitioners. And look, trying to help heal people when you don't have any energy yourself, or you're feeling like you're just completely run down, it's a horrible place to be. And it's tough, and a lot of people end up there. And again, we want to help people structure their businesses so that there is health there, so that they can keep passing down the health and keep tipping those scales.
So when it comes to structure, we've got the fuel going to the business, the grit, we know that's important. We also have to be extremely crystal clear, have the clarity on the income and the offer. Now, if
Mhm.
we want to overcome those constraints, the impact, the time, and the cash flow constraints, then we move into the second part of structure. I guess you could call it the third part of structure, and that is the process confidence. Now,
Yeah.
this is something that Elliot really specializes in working with our clients, and that is how to get the focus off of transactions and procedures and instead focusing on transformations. And it's
Mhm.
about optimizing that time to impact ratio. Now, Elia, what are you seeing with a lot of our clients? Because I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, I just need to have group coaching, or no, I can only work one-on-one, or no, I can only do it this way. And I think the answer is, and you tell me if I'm right about this, it can organically to evolve into a hybrid system that can work for just about any practice out there.
Yeah, I think hybrids are absolutely the way to go. I think it gives a business a solid foundation. So you're not solely relying on everything online or solely relying on everything in person. For a lot of healers, they really thrive on having some of that in person, contact. But when you get overwhelmed with that, that is also when your tanks start running low. So I think the big thing is really being open and creative to looking at a structure that is going to work for you as a bio individual business owner. And I think too many of us are trying to force ourselves into these little boxes because we think this is how it should be, or we need to just sell everything by the session. And this just really sets a lot of people up to feel like they're stuck. So
Yeah. So confidence on that process, right? A lot of people call it program. I don't like the word program. This is a process that you're taking somebody from sick to well,
mhm,
not great health, great health. And how are you going to get them there? How are you getting them from point A to point B, nightmare to dream, suck to success? Well,
mhm,
you're going to do that in two ways. One, you've got to maximize client success. You got to make sure they're having transformations in the shortest period of time possible. That's realistic. And
mhm,
what we found at Move, Think, Smile, so I don't know if you guys know this, but it goes move boldly, think different, smile more.
mhm.
So physiology is what most functional and integrative experts, well, that's what they're experts at. It's like, okay, identifying the deficiencies and the nutrients and the supplements. Okay, your omega-3s are too low, or your DHEA is too low, your homocysteine too high, your TPO is off the charts. How do we get the supplements in there and change some of the diet for the physiology to work? But what a lot of people are missing, what you really encourage you to do, is to integrate the physiology with psychology. Because
Mhm.
Elliot, what do we know is absolutely true about the human brain in regards to stress and health?
Well, we know that stress is really, it pulls the trigger. It pulls the trigger on a lot of genetic, illnesses or things that we're just predisposed to, weaknesses that we have in our body, whatever that might be, whether that's immune issues or whether that is actually something that's, genetically passed down. So again, really looking at, we can have perfect diets, we can have perfect supplement plans, like you said, but if the stress levels in our patients and clients' lives are through the roof and nothing is changing there, then you're going to get very slow results in your in the health of your clients. And I'll just pipe in here real quick. I mean, Gabor Mate has just this incredible body of work. Who is, he spent his entire life being a doctor, but he makes these incredible links between emotions and psychology and illnesses. And he says, tell me an illness, and I'll tell you basically the profile of a person's personality without ever even meeting them. So we know that this is a huge link. We know this is a huge link.
Right. So again, getting confident behind your process means maximizing client success. If you can integrate behavior change into what you're doing, because it's not like people are stupid out there. It's not like there's not enough information out there. But even though everybody knows they should eat more veggies, they should get more exercise, they should hydrate more, they should get better sleep, they're not doing it. The reason they're not doing it is because they're having a hard time changing that behavior. And that's where the psychology comes in. Yes, the supplements can help fill in the void short term, but long term, if you want your clients to have great success, get confident in your process and integrate some form of psychology in there. And then on top of that, you want to maximize your time. Set up the business to work with your clients about 6 to 10 hours a week. And you can do that while it gives them more access to you, and you're actually decreasing your client load at the same time. It's a
Mhm.
true win-win situation. And Elea kind of talked about that when she was mentioning hybrid group versus just strict one-on-one models. So we've got the grit, the fuel that goes into the business. We got income clarity. We've got offer clarity, the clarity part. We've got confidence on the process of how we're going to achieve these transformations with our patients and clients. Then we've got to get into the third part of the structure bit, and that is pricing certainty. Now, what we see, a lot of people are basing things off that transactional or procedural model. They trade time for money.
Yep.
And instead of doing that, we advocate shoot for a flat fee based off the transformation. And that flat fee should always be 10% of the value received. So if you're delivering somebody $100,000 in value over the next 5 to 10 years because you're saving them a lot of money,
Mhm.
then you could easily have a 10K thing.
Mhm.
Here's an example. Diabetes. If you go look at the Center of Disease Control and the report on the average American and what they spend out of pocket on a diabetes management program, even if they have insurance, it's $16,750 a year. This is called 17 grand. It's easy. Over a 10-year period, that's $170,000. So if you had a 5K diabetes offer, you could help someone lower their A1C naturally. And so diabetes goes into remission. It's not even detectable by the hospital anymore. You just save that person, well, 12 grand in year one and $165,000 over the next 10 years. So you really want to get certain on your price, and that flat fees are better. And you want to set that bargain price so more people say yes. And when I say bargain, at first you're like, $5,000 not a bargain. Well, yes, it is if you are extending someone's life, right? And you're saving them all this money over healthcare on top of that. Elea, any thoughts on pricing certainty there?
No, I mean, I think the big thing here again is because we're talking about money, it can be very triggering for people. And sometimes, some people are okay with pricing like that. Some people are like, what the heck? How could I ever do that? And again, I think it's really about, are you willing to think differently about how you are delivering your services and how you're positioning yourself? And I think, again, it just takes a little bit of shifting to understand how powerful this can really be. Not because you're greedy and you want to make all the money in the world and you want to blah, 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 right? It's because you really want to make sure that you're setting yourself up to have a healthy health company, that you're setting yourself up to be able to create dramatic transformation for your patients and clients, but you also can be able to hire the help you need to be even more impactful. So again, all of this comes back to how can you be the most impactful person in the health and wellness space, the best version of you that you can with having a healthy health company.
And what's interesting is people don't realize that getting certainty on your pricing and having a flat fee hits all three of those constraints, because you get higher quality people showing up that are willing to do the stuff because they're serious about their health. They're not just looking for free insurance and handouts where they're going to go home and smoke a pack of cigarettes and drink a 12-pack of Budweiser, right? You get more compliant people. Two, it decreases the constraint of time. It gives you more time back because now you're more efficient in less time. And of course, your profit margin drastically increases because you don't have to sit there and pound the pavement to try and nickel together every $75 to $200 hour session or procedure that you do. And let's just do a really quick 30-second pricing exercise. You guys have heard me talk about this before, but let's say you've got a woman that comes to you. I'm going to stick with diabetes. Let's say she comes to you. Her name's Kelly. This is a woman that we worked with. Her A1C score is 11.2. It's off the charts, right? Her energy is in the toilet. Her vision is gone blurry. Circulation is really poor. They're kind of uttering the words amputation, some other stuff out there. Let's say she comes into you, decisive, committed, resourceful, ready to rock. You blow her mind away. She calls you up one day and she says, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, I know you're not like a weight loss thing, but first of all, my A1C is like below pre-diabetic levels. They can't even detect anymore. I can see again. My productivity's back, but I also lost 50 pounds. Thank you so much. And in fact, I feel so good. I just did something I never thought I was going to be able to do. I just signed up for a 5K. Don't worry, I'm not doing it tomorrow. I'm going to work up to it, but I'm going to get out there and do it. I never thought I was going to be able to do that because I was just sitting on the couch all the time with no energy. Oh, and at work, well, my productivity's back. And I thought I was going to lose my job. I don't know if I told you that, or definitely wasn't going to get that promotion. Well, I did get that promotion, and I am now queen of the boardroom because of you. And let's say at home, well, the marriage wasn't bad, but it wasn't exciting either. The spark wasn't really there. Let's just say it's back, and I am queen of the bedroom because of you. What would you say it's worth? Give that woman that kind of power back for the rest of her life. And I'll give you all a hint. Ellie, it starts with what?
Price.
And it ends with?
Less. Exactly.
You can't put a price on that. That's exactly how we know we can show you how to articulate it. You're easily getting $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 or more for your transformational health and wellness thing. High prices are a good thing, everybody. It tells your clients you're great at what you do. Buying the best feels good. People pay more, get better results. It's much easier to hit your income goals. It provides massive health transformation for your clients, and they save your clients money and time. This is how you combat those three constraints affecting the wellness industry: time constraints, impact constraints, and cash flow constraints.
And I would just add on, one thing that I just want to leave everybody to think about is to think about if you're in the selling sessions model and you think about some patients and clients that you've had where they want you to fix a health issue, but they don't see you as often as they should. They spread out their sessions with you over a year period of time. It seems like you can never get the traction that you need because they're just not coming as often as they really need to. And we know when it comes to health that kicking off a new healthy lifestyle or changing the things that are causing sickness requires a lot of repetition in the beginning, and it requires momentum. So I want you to think about what would happen if your clients actually came to you very often in a concentrated amount of time in the very beginning of this process with you. How far would they just like soar in their health if they were in that space and you were able to do that within, get the momentum you need within about 3 months versus like having it spread out over an entire year and their results are mediocre. Right. So this is, again, where we want to look at, this is part of the structure of how you're working with your clients and how often you're seeing them. So really just want to shake up your thinking around that so that, again, we can look at how can we create a structure that's really healthy for both you and the clients.
All right, guys. So today, a crash course in constraints, part 1, business structure. This is all about eliminating, and it's the first time we've used the word in this episode or this term, metabolic business syndrome. And that is where your company is being affected by one or more of the constraints. Cash flow constraints, either not enough cash coming in or you don't have enough profit margin. I mean, 50% or more. Time constraints. You don't either have time to work on the business or you also don't have time to actually enjoy life because the business is doing decently. And the 3 impact constraints. You want to get out there, you want to spread your knowledge, you want to help more people. You're either not helping enough people or the people you are helping, that percentage of success with them is less than 90%. So you got to fix the root cause structure if you want to overcome those 3 constraints. So your clients get better results in less time while saving them thousands of dollars. You're not burning out because you've reduced your client workload to under 10 hours a week. And number 3, well, the business is healthy too because you're adding 6 figs to the bottom line. Now, if that's something you would like to learn more about the framework that we do, well, you got 2 options. Number 1, this is just something we just taught in our workshop a few weeks ago. If you want to go deep and dirty with the details and really expand this out, you can type workshop in the comments. We'll be happy there. Or if you'd like to get a demo and we can share with you the frameworks that we actually use with our clients, you can come over to movethinksmile.com/change, and we can show you how we change the structure for our clients and make sure that we're fueling it with a grit. We're getting absolutely crystal clear clarity on the offer and the income goals. We're getting absolutely confident with the process of giving our patients and clients the transformations that they need. And we're getting certain on our pricing to where we're setting it as a bargain. So more people are saying yes, even though at first it seems like it might be kind of high. If you'd like to see how we're doing that with our clients, come over to movethinksmile.com/change, and we'd be happy to sit down with you and show you a demo and share with you some of the frameworks that we're using with them. Yep. Now, Elea, we just were kind of heard somebody talking about the other day, or actually it's this morning with some of our crew, how there was a lady out there who didn't want to have to take another course. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I want to highlight to everybody out there that Move Think Smile is not a course. This is not something you come and take and do on your own, right? We don't take a linear approach with everybody out there. I think it's really important to understand that for a lot of people we work with, we literally come in and within the first 5 to 7 days, just get some clarity on their offer, maybe adjust the process, just a tiny little tweak, if any, because a lot of people have got a great process already, but we really focus it on that pricing and then being able to how to articulate that new pricing to people so they're not running away. Instead, they're saying yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So everybody come. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead, Elea.
No, I was saying, I'm just confirming that absolutely that I think shifting some of the pricing conversation and talking about that has been some of the most profound aspects of what people walk away with.
Yeah. All right. So come on over to movethinksmile.com/change. There'll be a little form for the fill out so we can make sure we get some information about your health company, because we do want to make your health company healthy. And then we will demo and share with you some of the frameworks we use with our clients. Until then, stay tuned for part number 2 of a crash course in constraints. And that will be all about messaging and making sure that you are communicating your true value. Until then, we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.